A woman who played a pivotal role opening the Slocum Boot Shop a few weeks ago on Briar Island has also written a play about Joshua Slocum. It will have its debut the weekend after next. Slocum was a sea captain, author, and the first person to sail around the world alone on his sloop the Spray in the 1890s. He was born on North Mountain and moved to Briar Island at age 8. He left school to work in that shop his dad operated, making leather boots for fishermen. He did not love the work. And by age 16, he had run away from home for good for a life at sea. Christina Inrig has been known to say she lives on Briar Island because of Joshua Slocum. Alex Mason wondered if Slocum is also responsible for her now becoming a playwright.
Were you already a playwright, or is it your passion for the story of Joshua Slocum that has turned you into a playwright?
Well, I would say it's a combination. I am a writer, and I have always been passionate about writing. I haven't written another play before, though. This is my first time doing a play, and yes, I think it's because of my passion for Joshua Slocum that it came together this year.
You have written here a story about somebody who had a very storied life and wrote at least a couple of books about himself. So how did you decide what part of his life to zoom in on?
Well, I wanted to focus on the time when Joshua Slocum lived on Briar Island, and that's why the play is called Before the Sea, because I think that's a critical time for our community, and it is, with all the effort that has been going into the Joshua Slocum Society and the Slocum Boot Shop, I really wanted to be able to showcase and focus on that period of his life.
What did you use for material? Because I know he wrote about his voyage alone around the world, and he wrote about the Libertad, is it? But did he write anything about his time on Briar Island as a kid?
Well, there are references to his time on Briar Island in his famous book, Sailing Alone Around the World. So a couple of sections in the play, I actually did use quotes from his book to describe, for example, as he arrived back to Briar Island in May of 1895. He spoke in his book about that arrival. And so I used some of that as a quote in the book. But I also used a lot of secondary material from the biographies that have been written, including the biography written by his son, Victor Slocum. So I did my research. There's actually not a ton of things written about his time on Briar Island, but I did my research onto various biographies, and there usually is either a page or a paragraph or a chapter about his early years. So I did my research on those first.
And without giving anything away that you don't want to give away, what kind of story do you end up telling?
Well, it's a mixed story, right? Because Joshua Slocum, really was inspired, I believe, from his time on Briar Island to become a sailor and to be enamored with the ocean and ultimately to leave it. But he also ran away from Briar Island. So it's kind of it's a love-hate relationship, I guess you could say. So I try to capture that a little bit in the play.
What can you tell us about Briar Island and the community of Westport at that time?
Well, it was a thriving community, and there was quite a large shipping industry on the island in that time period. He would have moved here when he was 8 years old in the mid-1850s is the time period that the play is set. So it was a thriving and bustling community, and so there would have been a lot of ships out in the harbor. There are stories I've read about various shipbuilding, deliveries, and various ships here in Briar Island. So I think that for him working in the cobbler shop and then looking out the window and seeing all this activity in the harbor, I believe that is part of what inspired him to leave and go to sea.
And as I understand it, Briar Island was part of a route that people would run with their vessels. They would go from Briar Island to or from St. John. They would stop in Boston. They would head for the Caribbean. Everywhere they went, they'd be picking something up and delivering something. Is that kind of your understanding, too, that this would have been a harbor where he would have seen people from all over the Western Hemisphere?
Yeah, I mean, it was a bustling community, certainly more so in the 1850s from a shipping traffic point of view than it is today.
This play is being put on by the Westport Theatre Troupe, according to the little handbill that I saw on the weekend when I was on the island. I've never heard of the Westport Theatre Troupe before. What can you tell us about that?
Well, it's brand new, and this is its first production. So the idea was, actually, there was a young person on our island who I was driving home from the school. There was a community event at the school, and I had a bunch of kids in my van. We were driving them back on the ferry from Long Island over to Briar Island, and she commented that wouldn't it be fun to have a theater production on the island? And so I mulled that over for a while after hearing that idea from one of our youth, and then put some feelers out to see, are there any other people that might be interested in doing a play this summer, to see if there was a possibility for pulling something together.
And how many people ended up being involved, and how many people are going to be on stage on the 8th and the 9th of August?
Well, it was a little bit touch and go at first because we put the call out at our initial meeting in April to see if there was interest. And we formed an organizing team of 3 people that came together in early May. I'm one of the 3 people on that organizing team for the Westport Theatre Troupe. But we were not sure if anyone was going to show up to the rehearsals. We were promoting it and trying to see if there would be interest at the end of May for folks to come together and be part of the play. And luckily, in the end, we have 15 actors who are involved in the play, 9 youth and children and youth, and 6 adults, sorry.
How old are the kids?
The kids range from 9 to 14, I believe, and they are playing various island children on the island from that time, including members of Slocum's family.
We know that people on Briar Island have a soft spot for this adventurer, Joshua Slocum. I can remember there being a Slocum pew in the old Baptist church. There's a monument down at Southern Point. When I was a kid in the 70s and 80s, you could buy shirts at the corner store that said, or the general store, I should say, that said Briar Island, home of Joshua Slocum. What about his feelings toward the island in time once he escaped from his father's boot shop? Do you have the sense that he had a soft spot for Westport?
Well, what I do recall in some of the things I read was actually that he ended up having a soft spot for his father, including the fact that he was a strong disciplinarian. There's something I read where he said later in life that he actually grew to respect that. And so, yes, I do believe that, and that is sort of part of the tone of the play, that he comes to sort of love and cherish those memories from Briar Island. And so there is some writing that backs that up. And, you know, it was funny was, as I've been doing the research, even after I'd written the play in the spring of this year, I found a couple of letters that were written by Joshua Slocum while he was on the Spray, sitting in the harbor in Westport. He was a real avid writer. He wrote letters to all over, and he always wrote where they were from and where he was when he wrote them, and the date. So, of course, I found a few of these wonderful letters and was able to incorporate some of that into the play word for word with how he described his time.
How is the boot shop doing?
It's doing well. Yeah, it's been really fun. We've only been open for 1 month now, but we've had over 350 people who have come over to the boot shop. And it's been a bit of a labor of love. Folks come in, some know who Joshua Slocum is, some have never heard of them, some are just looking to kill time before they go whale watching. But whoever the visitor is, it's really been fun to tell the story. And we do have a group of volunteers who have come together to make a bit of a roster to help share the load.
Christina, thank you for telling us about your play, and best of luck with it on August 8th and 9th.
Thank you so much.
Christina Inrig is one of the founding board members of the Joshua Slocum Society. Her play is called Before the Sea, the Joshua Slocum Story on Briar Island. Tickets are available at joshuaslocum.com.
This is CBC Public Broadcasting.